Hello, my name is Jackie Hyman. I teach self-defense to women and teen girls. And I just want to start off by saying that I'm so honored to be here and be a part of this summit because bringing from darkness into light and serving the world of women and the world of women's health is my absolute passion, as you are soon going to hear more about. And I applaud all of you for being a part of this, all the speakers, every viewer, Yonina for putting this together. It is so important. And just the fact that you're listening to this and watching this means that the world for women is changing for the better. And that is what I'm all about. So this topic of moving from darkness to light and shining a light on the darkness has been a huge sort of, I would say, even a theme of my life because I saw so much darkness around being a woman. And this started, I think, before anything happened to me just because I was a woman. I think it was something that I probably saw in the media or on TV that was a depiction of sexual violence. And it was so incredibly, painfully dark to me. It exposed a darkness that exists in this world to me that I just don't. It's so dark and so painful that I don't feel in any way, shape, or form, even a molecule of me is ready to tolerate that goes on. It was like I couldn't even believe that people could be so dark. And that was before I had any Me Too moment. It was before I experienced any type of sexual harassment or assault. And as you know, 1 out of 1 woman virtually has experienced something degrading because she's a woman. So I was carrying this around for a long time. And I was also learning martial arts, which I think made it even harder because I felt like I have all these fighting skills and yet somehow I still feel powerless because I'm a woman. And so I really had to reconcile these things and sort of find a way to deal with how dark it was for me that sexual violence happens. And it's not even really just, I think, violence towards women and girls. It's sexual violence in general. But according to research, women and teens experience it on a higher level. And because we are female, that's part of the reason why it's happening to us. And so that is just something that I'm not willing to accept, especially now that I have my own daughters. That's not the world that I want to see for them. And so I really didn't know what to do with all this. And now I do. Now I have realized that if we can teach women and teens actual practical, concrete tools to be able to respond to sexual harassment, to violent attempts, to degrading things, then we can actually give women and girls back their power. And for me to be able to teach this, it was very much like suddenly a light was banishing the darkness. And so now that's what I do. I deliver concrete, effective, simple tools into the hands of teens and women so that we can respond to violence in a powerful way. And I do this by, first of all, breaking down the archetype of the good girl that so many of us were consistently and repeatedly awarded for stepping into the role of the good girl throughout our childhood. And so we learned very quickly that being the good girl is a way to get through this world, find significance, be safe, find attention, be seen and heard. And so we've internalized this role. What is the good girl? What does a good girl do? Well, she cooperates. She doesn't disagree. She doesn't make a big deal out of things. She doesn't make a scene. She won't raise her voice. She does not fight. She does not do anything that makes other people around her feel uncomfortable. And if you think of all those things, don't yell, don't fight, don't make people feel uncomfortable. Make sure you're protecting the feelings of everyone around you. Make sure you're not making a big deal out of something. Make sure you're not making a scene. Make sure you're not reacting. Those are all things that you really need to be able to do if you want to respond in a way that will protect you from sexual violence. And that's not 100% of the time. Sometimes being the good girl can actually keep you safe. And this is where I really felt the light shine, because more than anything, I feel deeply that in order to give power back to teens and women, we must make sure that they embody a deep sense of autonomy, that they feel on a deep level that they are the master and owner and the sole owner and master of their choices. So it's not even about don't be the good girl. Make sure you yell, make sure you make a scene. Those things are all very helpful for defending yourself. But it's also you get to choose. You get to choose how you respond. So instead of defaulting to the good girl because it's what is expected of us, maybe we choose that role because it's actually what's best for us in that moment. It's actually what serves us. But the point is we get to choose. And it's very hard to choose when we've never been taught how to do anything else. And so to give women and girls this permission to fight back, to speak up, to shout, to make a scene, to protect their own feelings first, to me, shines a huge light on the issue. And it gives us so much power in so many ways. Another way that I really want to touch on today, before I teach you a self-defense tool, we will get there, is that although the violence is, a lot of it is happening to us as women, there's domestic violence, there is violence against women, violence against girls. It's a huge epidemic, bigger than what we like to actually talk about. We have the power to change this also. We don't have to continue to be victims of this. We can change this. We are capable of changing this. And I know there's going to be some of you who disagree with me, and that's okay. But I just want to give you a sense of how powerful it is to take this issue into our own hands and see what happens when we do that. And so I hear a lot of people saying, well, it's not our fault, which it's not, okay? I agree with that. Violence against women, not women's fault. Let's just get that clear. So but then it goes, if the thought process kind of goes, if it's not our fault, then why should we be responsible for changing it? Now, it should be, right? Men should be the ones to change. We shouldn't have to change anything. We should be able to just be ourselves, and we should be able to walk around the world safely, and that's it. You're right. That's true. It's very true. But I don't see it as my responsibility. I see it as my honor to take part in this change and to take back my power and take this issue into my own hands by teaching skills to as many women and girls as possible. So that's one. And the other thing is that, I don't know about you, but I personally am not willing to wait for men to get their act together. I'm not willing to wait for the systems to get their acts together. I'm not willing to wait on anyone outside of myself to change. Because in the meantime, another girl is being raped in the United States. Something, don't quote me on this, I need to look this up, but something like every 15 minutes. So making systemic change is going to take way too much time. Way too much time. Because again, that type of darkness for me, and this is my thing, but I feel that it's a lot of our thing because it affects all of us in a deep way. It's not something that I'm willing to just say, that's kind of just how the world is. It'll change one day. I'm not willing to wait for that. And so when we say, well, this isn't my problem, they're the ones who should be dealing with this, we're literally taking our power and giving it all away to people outside of ourselves. And that doesn't work for me because this issue is so deeply important to me. Changing the systems, again, the activism that is happening is incredible. I highly support activists, but changing the systems that, and what I mean by changing the system, just in case you don't know, is that there are systems in place in society. For example, the way that perpetrators are not immediately persecuted or really persecuted or dealt with in a way that, you know, a lot of these perpetrators get slaps on the wrist instead of, and that doesn't prevent violence. Okay, so that's the legal system. That is the criminal justice system. If you are trying to work on changing that, good for you, but it's hard. And it's an uphill, forever battle. So applause to you, but it's going to take, again, a long time. And again, I'm not willing to wait. Teaching our sons how to be different. Now, this one really is in our immediate control, right? When my son sees Sleeping Beauty being kissed while she's sleeping, he already knows, and he's known this since he was like 5, that that's not okay because she doesn't have an opportunity to say stop or to say no. That's powerful to deeply ingrain our sons. And that is in our power. But again, until he grows up, until that snowball becomes a bigger thing, how many women and girls will have been attacked by the time we reteach our sons to look at these things differently? How do we prevent tomorrow's incident? We teach our daughters and we teach ourselves that we are capable of responding to and preventing an incident in the moments leading up to the incident. So if I have fully embodied that I have the right to say no, to say stop, to yell, to make a scene, to fight back, to leave, to protect my own safety at the expense of other people's emotions and sometimes even physical safety, if it comes to that, then when I start to feel like a situation, let's say with a boyfriend, isn't exactly what I want, then I can look at him and say, stop. And if he doesn't stop, I know what to do. I can say, it's time for you to leave now. We don't do that because we were never told how. We were never taught how. We have very little practice saying no, saying stop. We have a lot more practice of taking the role of the good girl. And so not everyone, some of you watching this, I know, would have zero problem saying get that out of my house, right? But a lot of us need extra help to get our brains to choose that as an automatic response. And so what I do with women and girls is I give them a chance to respond that way through simulations, and I train their brains that is a safe response, that's an okay response, that's a response that they're going to get a lot of applause for and encouragement for, so that we can unlearn the good girl and relearn how to take care of ourselves first. So that is what I call shining light on a very dark part of the world. It's what I do day in, day out, and it's what I will do till the day I die or until the systems and the men suddenly change. We can do this. We are capable. We are capable of preventing our own violent situations. I'm not saying 100% of the time, but I'm saying way more of the time than they would have you believe. This idea that a man could easily overpower a woman is a myth. It is one that has been created by people who benefit from that myth. So I'll give you a moment to think about who those people might be. Doesn't take a genius, right? And now I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So let's see if I can switch my screen. There we go. Switch my screen. I want you to be able to see my whole body for this. Okay. Let's see. If I move this out of the way. And I can all right. Okay, so if you're watching this with me and you are able to stand up and do this with me, I very much invite you to do this and learn this, because it's a life-saving tool. It will help you feel so powerful and so capable. And the more people that learn this, the less violence we're going to have in the world. So I'm going to show you how it looks. Looks like this. No! Okay, now if you're not able to shout right now, that's okay. I want you to at least say the word no as you do this, so that you're making it very clear that it's not okay with you, what's happening, okay? This is a move that's only for a situation where you feel like you are physically in danger, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is take a foot back. We're gonna drop our hips that we're really stable, and we're gonna have a hand that's on the same side as that back leg come back behind the front hand. Okay? Now, just this right here, by the way, is a really powerful move to be able to clearly tell someone with your body that you want them to stop. So even if someone's just coming toward you, going like this is already self-defense. Okay, but also we have a secret weapon right here. This is called the palm heel. It's nice and padded on top, and then there's a really strong bone underneath. So go ahead and hit yourself a couple times. You will see that it hurts. So imagine doing this with your full force to someone's face. This is an area that no matter how big or strong you are, you cannot go work out in the gym to make it stronger. So it does not matter how big or strong your opponent is, okay? I want you to let that sink in a little bit. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna twist our hips, because this is the most powerful part of a woman's body. And so we are going to utilize this to its fullest. So we're not just coming from our upper body, but from the center of our power as women, which is this right here, the hips. All right, so we're gonna swing our hips. We're gonna bring this magical weapon, our palm heel, out in a straight line, and then we're gonna snap it back so that we get that whip action, so that we're ready for another one if we need, and so that he cannot grab us as we're out there, right? Like, don't leave him any presents. By the way, I say him because it's likely that it will be a man, and because that's the biggest fear for people. There are women aggressors. I don't want to discount that fact, okay? But for our purposes, I'm gonna say him. All right, so let's do this again slow. Hip twist, straight line, and then snap it right back. Now we're gonna add the shouting. The shouting gives way more power into the strike because we're bringing our energy out into it. It makes a scene, right? Which is exactly what he's not expecting. He's expecting the good girl. It's exactly what he doesn't want, because he doesn't want attention on what's happening. And it startles him. Exactly because it's the opposite of what he's expecting. If he's coming to attack a woman, he's expecting the good girl response. This is a tool that they use to accomplish what they want to accomplish, because they are aware that we default to the good girl. And so we're just not going to do that this time. So we're going to shout the word no, because it's the simplest, most clearest boundary we can set. No, I'm not going to let this happen. No, it's not okay. Just no. All right? So now we're going to do it with our full power and shout as loudly as you can with whatever settings you have. And we're going to do this together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. No! And you have successfully broken someone's nose. So congratulations. I will let that movement end end this whole little session. And I just want to say that there is hope for a violent world. We are capable, we are strong, and we have choices, always. I do not believe in boxing women into the powerful type. Be who you are. Expand your tools. Try on different roles. Good girl, not good girl. And then make a choice for yourself, because you are the queen of your body, your boundaries, your voice, your life, and above all, your choices. Happy Hanukkah. Much love.